years of British rule are ending. As the national anthem is played for the last time under British rule,
the lowering of this Union Jack marked the end of the colonial era in Uganda and the birth of a new nation, the first to get independence in the East African region. On this 9th of October, it was Sir Edward Mutesa II who ceremonially received instruments of power from the colonial government on behalf of Ugandans, marking the end of an era. Sir Edward Mutesa II was duly elected by Parliament under the auspices of the Uganda People's Congress and the Kabaka Yaka Alliance. However, his leadership was short-lived after he was ousted in 1966 by then Prime Minister Dr. Apollo Milton Obote following the attack on Lubidi Palace, which is commonly referred to as the 1966 crisis. Although Dr. Apollo Milton Obote tried to justify his action as legal and citing Mutesa as a threat to national security, many viewed his action as a military takeover. But for Sir Edward Mutesa's subjects, it was undermining their king and greed for power that saw the Buganda's leaders sent into exile.
Anybody should agree that that was the turning point of this country, from a country that is ruled by reason to a country that's ruled by military force.
Is the vision which the government has and which I have and believe is possible.
As if to pay for his sins, Obote's reign too was short-lived. After self-claimed Field Marshal and conqueror of the British Empire, Idi Amin Dada overthrew him in 1971 to become Uganda's third president. Amin, who was the army commander during Obote's regime, played a key role in storming Kabaka Mutesa's palace, sent his former commander-in-chief into exile to declare himself the life president of Uganda.
Everybody must be removed who have got the ideology or all the mentality of the capitalists who have no revolutionary.
And this first coup d'etat in Uganda ended Obote's 5-year reign as the #1 citizen of Uganda. Idi Amin's forceful entry meant that Uganda was getting the third head of state, while fellow East African neighbors, Tanzania and Kenya, were enjoying peace under one leader since their independence, with the late Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya and Julius Kambarage Nyerere in Tanzania.
Since I came in power, automatically Uganda became revolutionary. Not only the armed forces, but the whole police, prisons.
And for 8 years, the country was plunged to near anarchy, where those who dared question Amin's decisions never lived to see the next day. The economy literally crashed following the expulsion of Asians, as Ugandans, with their ill knowledge of managing business, did nothing but to drain it to west. His overthrow brought in a string of new leaders, starting with the late Professor Yusuf Dule, elected at the Mosh Conference that comprised of various anti-Amin exile groups, which had come to the neighboring countries or were simply termed exiled leaders. Despite Dule's massive popularity, those who wielded the real power was the National Consultative Council, which he had allegedly undermined, that threw him out of State House just after 68 days. Lule was replaced by Godfrey Lukongwa Binaisa, a London-trained lawyer who had earlier served in the post-independence cabinet as the Attorney General under Dr. Milton Obote's first regime. But what is remembered of him during Obote's first regime was his pigeonhole constitution.
I think it's partially this idea of selfishness, basically, because I could not see any reason. Of course, I knew the inside story as to why Lule was removed.
Binaisa is credited for having introduced Mimvuli, or the umbrella system, under which he tried to bring together the various warring political groups. As characteristic of past regimes, Binaisa too was overthrown by the Obote henchmen after he was accused of greed. Uganda then prepared herself for what was anticipated to be the first free and fair elections since independence in 1962. These were the contentious 1980 elections which marked the return of Dr. Apollo Milton Obote to power. The Uganda People's Congress, UPC, and Democratic Party, DP, were the major political parties and major players alongside the Conservative Party, CP, and Uganda Patriotic Movement, UPM. The population took part in the elections with high expectations, but to their surprise, the elections were rigged in favor of UPC's Dr. Obote, who reigned for 5 years.
He had charismatic leadership. He was, if he stood to speak before, even if you don't like him, you would be compelled to listen.
However, like the first regime, the Obote regime was also thrown out by General Tito Okello Lutwa in 1985 in the military junta. Lutwa's junta was also short-lived as it was swept away in January 1986 by Yoweri Museveni after his National Resistance Army waged a 5-year guerrilla war.
I, Yoweri Museveni, swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of Uganda, and that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. So help me God.
Although Museveni has been in power for 26 years, he has been directly elected by the population 3 times since 1996, when multi-party politics opened up. Museveni was voted on the account of massive development achieved in a country that had been devastated by the effect of armed conflict and military rule. During Museveni's 26 years, the neighboring Tanzania has also had 3 presidents in the names of Ali Hassan Mwinyi, Benjamin Mkapa, and now Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, while Kenya has had only 2, Daniel Arap Moi and Mwai Kibaki. While neighboring countries boast of 2 or 3 presidents since independence, Uganda has gone down in the books of history as having the biggest number of presidents since independence, perhaps a characteristic of the turbulent times the country has gone through. But the difference is in the last 26 years where Uganda boasts of 1 president while the neighbors have had at least 2 in the same period. After a turbulent of teething problems, childhood and youth middle-aged Ugandans are looking forward, tripping from its old age that will definitely go beyond the national life expectancy of 50 years and improving their standards of living.